it's important that we democratize opportunities, um, that we make that opportunity possible and accessible to young people. So I remember in 2012 when I was in that room where I met Benga Ogunjimi. Benga had gone to the US for Atlas Core Fellowship. He was already, a shining star. And for me, I was a young person trying to get a job in Nigeria. There was no direction. Actually, I was super confused about life. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do. But, I met Benga in the room. Benga told me that I shouldn't worry too much, that it was going to, that it was going to, yeah, okay, good. Benga said I shouldn't worry about life too much, that it was going to support me, was going to mentor me, was going to be there. And Benga started that mentoring program. It was a very exciting one for me. 2015, I moved into the US to join Benga. The same fellowship program. And what is interesting that you might find exciting is the fact that Benga literally reviewed my application multiple times. He reviewed my application multiple times, like 3-4 times. And I remember that I was also applying for some other fellowship programs. Then in 2014, 15, Benga was there to review my application and rewrite them. He literally rewrote my application. And that was what Benga was to me. And I want to be the same thing to many people, but I just realized that times have changed. In 2012, there was literally no, the level of technology savviness that we have today wasn't there. So today, I would rather do a session where we can support and teach other people, get them to really learn, how to access many of these international opportunities. And I mentioned yesterday that it's okay if you're rejected. Trust me, I have been rejected many times. And I gave an instance yesterday. I showed you live, opportunities that I have applied for myself and I've been bounced. One of them is Echoing Green. I've been applying for Echoing Green now since 2016. You can imagine 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 6 years. And I've been bounced every year, And then my colleagues would say, why are you applying to Echoing Green? And I'd say, see, guys, I've just built the capacity, to stay consistent and get what I want. Some of them I give up because it's not worth it. That's my decision to make. But some of them I don't, because I also learn. I think that it's a process. I also learn because every year when I look at my previous application, I smile and I'm like, oh yeah, this can be better than what it is, and then I improve on that application and then, but remember that many people in this room apply for too many things. But if you see the things I've applied for in my life that have been bounced, I'm not sure anyone can really compete with my level of rejection in this room. I'm telling you, I showed you guys. In a year, I literally submit an average of 150 applications in a year. In a year, I literally submit 150 applications. And it's because I need this global exposure, this global opportunity. Because I know my background, I know where I came from. I came from literally nothing. There was no one, nothing, literally nothing. I had to literally build all these things myself, ground up, leveraging. I leverage international global opportunities, and I am grateful that I'm able to access some of them, but I have been rejected multiple times and I'm perfecting my storytelling capacity. And the essence of accessing this opportunity is because I know that there's a next generation that needs to access this opportunity. So if I don't pave the way for them, they will struggle. I'll give you an example. One of my mentees, Praise Adeyemo, I literally drove to Abeokuta one day to meet Praise dad, an educator, And Praise just wants to build an amazing life for herself so that her dad can be proud of her. 2018, I was selected as Achievement Scholar. Now, if you think about it yourself, I graduated from the university with a second class lower, 2010. It took me 8 years to become Achievement Scholar, although I applied once in 2018. But it took Praise. Praise left university 2018 and became a Commonwealth Scholar in 2019. 1 year. And that is the power of paving ways for the next generation, creating that platform that allows the next generation to become successful. And then I had one of my daughters that also worked with me, Itunu also got the scholarship to go do a master's in the US, just 1 year after leaving university. So the reason we are doing this is so that we can also pave ways for the next generation or for the next set of people that want to access many of these opportunities. But think about it. I have 57 people on this call. And when I'm done with this session, I would, escalate this and send it to almost 900 people. Think about 900 people learning how to access international opportunities and paving ways for the next generation. And that's the power of what we are doing here. So this is super important to me. So yesterday, I talked about, how to access many of these opportunities, where these opportunities are. And one of the things I think I talked about really that I want you guys to think about is this. If you really want to find exciting opportunities, it's not just enough to, go on these platforms, where what this platform, opportunities desk, opportunities for Africa, the opportunities you see on those platforms are like the 1% of the opportunities that are available out there. So you need to be ready to search for opportunities. So let's do a random search and, we'll go straight to, let's do a random search. I literally used to have a deck. Let me search for it. Scholarships. I used to have a dashboard. A dashboard, that's the one. I used to have a dashboard in those days, scholarships around the world. I think I might share with you at the end of this session. Let's see, what is it called? Okay. Yes, scholarship database. I used to have a very heavy database of scholarship opportunities around the world. This database that you see here is how many scholarships are we talking about? We're talking about, it's loading. You can't even understand what I'm saying. It's loading. These are like minor, small scholarship, $1,000, $500, 500, small. There are some of them that are like complete lots of money, but this is a full dashboard. How many scholarships do we have? I have 8,000 scholarships that I put together here, and then I will share this with you later, that's by the way. But how do you search for international opportunities when you need to search? Let's play the game, right? One of the ways to do that is this. You can say something like, fellowships for EdTech entrepreneurs, right? And just search. Now, two things you'll pretty much find. Number one is that you pretty much find like someone has done a compilation of those kind of opportunities. So you see here, 100 entrepreneurs, 6 months fully funded, right? EdTech fellows, that's, 100 entrepreneurs fellowship. Someone has probably, CCO EdTech fellowship. If you search more, you see many of the fellowship programs here. And then you can go to the next page, you'll see many fellowship like MasterCard fellowship last year, 6 education startups named Lean Lab educators. You can click on that to read about it and then see if you're qualified. In Genie, Bridge for Billion, you'll see many of them. If you search by scholarships for Africans, or if you say Masters Scholarship for Africans, and then you search. What I need to tell you is that whatever you find on page 1 to 2 is not what you're looking for in reality, you know. So all the things here, 400 scholarships for African students, good, but you need to go deeper. You need to come here, page 5. This is where you now begin to see scholarships that probably don't see. You see Mandela Rhodes, New Zealand scholarship for African students, full scholarship in Europe, for African Union. Then go to page 10. Don't just stop at page 5, right? Go to page 10. You now begin to unravel some scholarships that you probably didn't even think that exist. You see, the scholarships here are still super, super competitive and they're interesting. The Russian government has scholarship program, 9 US embassy scholarship program. You know, there are scholarship programs, 15 undergraduate scholarship programs, you know, for undergraduates, you know, for people, Africans. And that's pretty much one of the best ways to search for scholarships. Go deeper, go deeper, go deeper. Don't worry, guys. I'll give you the opportunity to ask questions as we move on. But let me be sure that everybody's mic is set up. Because people might be on the call and then they might not be able to hear us well. Okay, I think everyone can hear us. So you can do that. Another approach, another way around this is follow key people that you think have accessed these opportunities. Follow key people. Like myself, I have almost 20 persons that I'm following. They're like 5 years ahead of me, 10 years ahead of me. I am looking at what are these guys accessing, and I'm just plugging myself into some of the opportunities these guys are accessing. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So can you guys still hear me? Because someone says my audio went off. Mic check. Mic check. Can you guys, oh, you guys cannot unmute yourself. Okay, someone says I can hear you. Okay. So, you know, think about it that way. It's so easy to understand. Look for people that are ahead of you in this game. In whatever you choose to do, look for people that are ahead of you and then just follow them back to back. Try and follow them to understand what opportunities are they accessing. Then how can you also get some of these opportunities? How can you access some of these opportunities? Well, let's quickly look at yesterday we were, you know, writing an application. We're literally unraveling an application to see, you know, how I write some of this application, some of these opportunities. And I mentioned yesterday that there's a need for you to master the art of storytelling. You need to master the art of storytelling. And sometimes what I do, even before I start writing, because I know that sometimes some of us, we are led by saying and not just typing. So sometimes what I do is that I record what I'm about to write. Because sometimes it's easy to tell a story emotionally by saying than by typing. So what I do sometimes is that I record some of the things that I'm about to write, you know, and I do that multiple times. I just have like multiple recordings, you know, just to create an inspiration zone for myself before I put them into writing. So if you ask me, for instance, and say, you know, why should we select you? You know, instead of typing it, because sometimes, you know, I may have a brain block by typing, I would say that one of the things that stands me out is my staying power and my staying capacity. I have been in the education industry for 10 years, and you can guarantee that I would always be around because this industry resonates with my personal story. As a young person that was unemployed for 2 years, I understand the pain of being unemployed, or I understand the pain that Africans go through. Or as a young person that was unemployed, you can see that sometimes you might not be able to type all this, you know, correct self-correction that I'm doing. And that is why it is good to record it yourself, because you can correct yourself. Because the flow when you're typing, it's not always great. When you have to like correct yourself multiple times when you're typing, sometimes you're just frustrated. But if you're saying it and you're recording it, then you can perfect the art. You know, as an African, my entire family sent me to the university, or as an African, my two younger sisters had to wait for me to graduate from the university, depending on, I can now self-correct it and say, as an African, my two younger sisters had to wait for me to graduate from the university to access resources, to go to schools themselves. And leaving the university or being unemployed after university left them with no means to go to school. So you can type it yourself, you can write it, you can read it out yourself, say it yourself, and record it, But you need to master the art of digging deep into your personal story. You need to look at your personal story, because it's like in Africa, sufferhead, has just made all of us to forget many of the things that we go through. I can tell you for free that literally everyone on this call, many of us, our parents took loans to send us to school. You probably have just forgotten, how your parents had to join community saving groups, just to save, and they have to wait for their own turn, right? That was my experience. If that is your experience too, you probably have a very deeper story that you have ignored, So you need to search from within and look at yourself and say, what's that story? What's that tough time that I experienced? And how can I leverage this story just to write something better? So let's look at my MIT Solve application. One line solution, one line. If I'm writing one line like this, summary, regardless of where you are in Africa, we will make sure tech skill training is accessible to you. For me, the way I would think about this one line is, I want to paint a picture in the mind of the person that is reading this, because remember that person is probably not from Africa. And that person probably does not understand what Africa is going through, what Africans' experience look like. Now, pitch your solution. Now, this is a very exciting one. Pitch your solution, right? And I think most times you're given like word limits. Pitch your solution. By 2030, Africa will have 600 million workforce that is ready to work and change the destiny of this continent. Now, think about it. I try to be empirical, but I also try to be less quantitative. It's a blend of the two. If you get too quantitative, you're speaking to the head of the person that's reading it. You're not talking to the mind, to the heart of the person that's reading this. So you need to do the both. You need to combine both. And that's a strength that you need to acquire. You need to develop. You need to develop that capacity to speak to the head and also be very factual and empirical with the way you think or the way you present whatever you're saying. So what do I mean by being factual? I'm saying, by 2030, Africa would have 600 million. This is me being factual. This is me being factual. So I will label that red. Let me zoom this out a little bit so that people can see it. I'll put it on 125. Well, sorry. I'll put it on 150. It's 150, good. 125. I'll put it on 125, right? This is me being factual. By 2020, Africa will have 600 million people in the workforce that is ready to work. And when I switch here, change the destiny of this continent, this is me being, speaking to the mind, speaking to the heart, being emotional. Of this number, 37% will, now I would rather you don't use percentage. Or rather, you don't use percentage. I prefer you use real numbers, because real numbers really resonate with people better than percentage. Because percentage is like trying to figure out, okay, what is 37%? Unless the percentage is high. If it's like 50 upwards, 70%, then that is good. But I'd rather you use, real numbers than percentage, because it has a way of resonating or connecting with someone's mind easily when compared with, speaking to them. Now, this is another thing that I do. I do what I don't know what to call this, but when I'm talking to you or when I'm writing my application, I try to do what is called analogous, I don't want to say analogous estimation, but I try to create analogy. And it's because of the way I grew up, right? In the human mind is always trying to connect dots. And how do people connect dots? People connect dots by connecting what they are currently experiencing to what, they see around them. And that is why when you see American presidents, every time they will say things like, if you ask an American president, which of the policies do you want to pass first on the first 100 days in office? It would say, I want to focus on the health bill, because when I was growing up, my father would tell me, my mother would tell me, what they are doing is to create an analogy, because everyone that is listening to them probably has that same experience. So they want to help them resonate, with what they are saying. They want to connect the dots so that it's easy. It's a very easy way to help someone to understand what you're saying. So I would say things like, that is bigger than China. Okay. If it's bigger than China, then this is important. This is important because everybody knows that China has one of the largest youth population. And everybody understands how China built their economy simply by what? By leveraging that youth, population, and giving that youth population the opportunity to build technology products. Okay. So poor access and expensive internet make it 4 times more difficult. I won't say poor access and expensive internet make it difficult for Africans. I'm also trying to connect the dots. 4 times more difficult for Africans. Scaling technology skill trade in Africa has been a big challenge, leaving behind those that are at the bottom of the pyramid. This is also, another emotional statement. So I'll label that blue. Right. Now, try to paint picture in someone's mind, person that is reading this, regardless of where you are, your internet situation, regardless of where you are, your internet situation, income demography, we bring premium technology skill training to your doorstep. What do you do exactly? But please, when you're writing your application, I know many of us are Harvard candidates here, right? So when you write your application, you want to sound smart. I know, I was there, you want to sound smart, which is okay. It's okay to sound smart. But remember that the person reading your application probably has over 40 applications to read. So when you say something like, oh, we are an AI system that is helping to create a visualization for the empirical, clinical, calm down. Calm down, just calm down. The person reading your application is probably a junior staff. Probably a junior staff. So if you think about it that way, that it's probably a junior staff, you will calm down. And I know what I'm saying because I know how these applications have been reviewed. I know how these applications are reviewed. So every time you're being very, very, you're trying to sound intelligent, trying to sound, Harvard graduate or MIT graduate, just calm down. Remember that the person reading your application might be a junior staff. So what do you stand to lose if you keep it simple? Nothing, right? Nothing really. So keep it simple. It's important to keep it simple. Let's speed up a little bit. I'm trying to confirm if the YouTube recording is still live. Okay, I think it is. Okay, let me share my screen again and let's move on a little bit faster than that. Okay, so regardless of where you are, then I try a little bit to be very detailed, maybe not very detailed, but to be very simple, to simplify the detail. We provide learners with encrypted devices, which has more than 40 well-structured and designed training programs, and offer a pay-as-you-go model, a learning support system through SMS and social media platform, and an incentive of access to employers for remote jobs. I think everybody can do this. It's just trying to be a little bit more, trying to be a little bit more detailed, just trying to be a little bit more detailed. Um, that's what we're literally asking here. Now, this is also very important that you do things like this. You have to create pictures in people's mind. You have to sell vision to people. And how do you sell vision? How big is the opportunity? How big is the opportunity? You have to let people know how big this thing can become. What's the size? So when you're writing, so for example, if you're someone that works with children that are disabled, when you're writing something about your application, it's okay because someone like me might just feel in my mind, like, how many disabled children do we really have? Because I probably haven't seen any. And it's okay not to have seen any because that's my reality. I know that, okay, probably one or two, but I probably don't know how big it can become, how big this project can become. But if you say 1 out of every 5 families have this, or if you say there are 50 million disabled children in Nigeria today that need access to, disability support system, then you've created a mental picture in my mind to see the size of that thing. So don't ignore that. The size of the problem is very, very important. What specific problem are you solving? I'm sure many people will probably have this kind of question come around you. So I'm going to show you how my own approach, how I approach this kind of question. What specific problem are you solving? Now, the model that I use is to go from, let me type here, I go from broad description, of the problem. I go to global perspective of the problem. I go to user needs. That's usually the approach that I use. So I'm going to label this like red. That's the approach I use. Now, for me, I try to always be emotional, right? And when I say emotional, I'm not saying, crying babies, but just let the person know that this is an issue. Can African organizations thrive in a digital economy without the right human capital and workforce? As a case in mind, this is a broad description, broad. As a case in mind, there are about 3.5 million entry-level job vacancies that go unfilled every year. Broad. So let's label this broad. Numbers are very important, but be careful how you throw numbers around because numbers can also be very overwhelming. According to the African Development Bank, you need to talk global perspective. Global perspective. Some of you are ACAs. It's okay to act anyway. Global perspective. Okay. Global perspective, I'll label this red. According to the African Development Bank, right? According to the African Development Bank, 2 out of every 3 African graduates remain unemployed. Now, that global perspective is very important when you're writing an application, right? Because trust me, you want to create what I call a framework that helps the person to see that what you are talking about is not just a local issue, but it's a bigger issue. If African Development Bank is writing about this problem, it means that it's a Pan-African issue. 2 out of every 3 African graduates remain unemployed. This is a reflection of the continent's skill gap. All these things are red. They are red. Red means that I'm still speaking to the head of the person that is listening. This is blue because I'm getting emotional. Can African organizations really thrive in 2021? Can African organizations thrive without the right people? Then I go emotional again. We cannot be better than the quality of our people. Another emotion, but I throw another emotional card out there. So when I say emotion, I'm not talking about crying babies. I'm saying that, dissolve the number pressure. Use words like, if you're writing about climate change, say something like, can we live healthy better than our forefathers? When you throw the numbers and all the stuff, then throw something like, do we even know what we are breathing in? Do we even know the quality of the water that we drink? You throw words like, sentences like, can we pass to the next generation our current ocean, or we have messed it up for them? Then you can go back and be factual. Go back and be factual according to this, according to this, according to that. But throw emotional lines every time you write your application. It helps the person to resonate easily with what you're saying. Because all these things, if you are not in my industry, you might not know the value of this red line. But here, if you don't have to be in my industry to know that, we cannot be better than the quality of our people. So next line, yet learning premium technology skill is a hassle for Africans because I'm coming back to users' needs now. Users' needs, specific users' needs, not just some broad, African Development Bank categorization of what I'm talking about, but specific users' needs. Yet learning premium technology skill is a hassle for Africans because for an average African, it is 4 times more expensive to learn remotely due to the cost of the internet and the accessibility. So when you describe users' needs, remember that people make the entire country. So you need to talk about the issues that they face, right? And then when you talk about the issues that they face, talk about that from a much more emotional perspective and switch it back to figures, to numbers, right? But for me, writing about this problem was quite very difficult because the essence of what I do is not just to solve one major problem. While I'm trying to solve the user's needs, remember that when you solve the user's need, you need to connect that dot because it needs to come back to help solve the major problem. And that's where, this is always very, very important. This framework is always very, very important. So I would insert a table, for example, because I want you guys to understand the framework that I'm talking about. Now, this is the framework. Activities lead to output, right? An output leads to outcome. An outcome leads to impacts. Very simple framework. Now, activities means that what are the little things that you do, here and there. So for example, in terms of describing this problem I'm solving is, if we provide a device to people that is encrypted, so let's go back to problem, not solution now. If we solve the problem of internet, and accessibility, if internet is no longer a crisis, if people don't have to rely on internet to learn, how does that solve the problem? Okay, so that's the activity, internet access. Then how does it solve the problem? Okay, people will learn at ease and save more money, right? What's the outcome? Complete training. They will complete their training because they don't have to get home and realize that MTN is down. They don't have to get home and realize that they have to spend under 2,000 to buy 2 gig. They don't have to spend more money on the internet. And what is the impact on that? They complete their training, they learn tech skills and transition into new jobs. So that framework is very easy to follow through with. I'll pause here because I want you guys to absorb everything I've talked about. Oh, God. Okay, so, I do that here. Then, because I also don't know the person that is reading my article, maybe the person is some professor from, so I throw the McKinsey Institute report. The interdependence of this problem is quoted by the McKinsey Institute report. 75%. Now, when I say interdependence here, I mean the relationship between this problem as it affects as it affects individual users, and the problem as it affects companies that are hiring them. And I'm sure you are contextualizing this based on your own industry, how you can write your application The interdependence of this problem is quoted by McKinsey Institute report. 75% of employers find it hard to fill roles that are critical to the growth of their businesses. Okay, while the employment rate in Africa is on the rise due to the skill gap. Okay, now, so that's a way to think about it. Now, what is your solution? Okay, this is the part that is very, very difficult, right? Because there's so many things that you want to write here, especially for many of you that run organizations and then you want to talk about your solution. Number one is that being able to describe the solution as it connects to the people that are using it is important. And you have to keep that part simple. You need to also be able to show how big the industry is or how big your solution can become. Now, here too, you need to talk a little bit about the component of the solution without sounding too technical. You know, what makes the solution, you know, the component without sounding too technical. So for example, if your solution is to help people put together an office space, you know, you need to like keep it very simple. Oh, our team has a technology product, or we use the technology product that helps our users or our customers to drop quick information about the type of offices that they would want. And this is easy for them because we have built multiple templates that they can easily just, you know, drag and drop. You know, keep it simple, don't make it tough. You know, at this point, the time you will make it tough is coming. You know, the time you would sound smart is coming. So the solution that we developed is called the nucleus because it is the brain box of every premium technology skill training. We put a single device in the hand of each African youth. Can you see? Simple. Simple. Is that what's your solution? I'm describing the soft side of the solution first before coming technical. The soft side, so that it's easy for the person to, because every solution has a soft side. You know, oh, Flutterwave, we are a simple gateway that helps people that sell things online to easily collect money from people that buy things online. Because our solution communicates with the bank and we're able to, you know, make transactions or help people make transactions online. Just keep it simple. You don't have to say, oh, we're a dashboard that is data-driven, analytical. Not yet. You will still do that, right? We put a single device in the hand of each African youth, and they can access more than 70 well-structured and curated training, tech skill training with or without the internet. That's the solution. Okay, the people behind it, our team, with a faculty network of about 350, have developed different training programs in form of videos, forget the typographical error, in form of videos, assignments, instructions, in the form of voice notes, and a support system that helps incentivize, apologies for that, that helps incentivize learning completion. Then I go technical. Okay, you want to see crazy? Show you technical. You know, the hardware is a 300 gig encrypted tab with earpiece and Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connectivity and a battery lifespan of 12 hours. The device does not allow for content transfer, but does permit upgrade through Wi-Fi. You know, the nucleus encrypted hardware with more than 70 structured learning programs. It's easy for someone to comprehend this because I've done a little bit of simplicity. Now, if you're following the conversation, I will give you an assignment. All the questions I'm answering here, you will have to answer them for whatever you do. If you have a job, you would have to answer them. If you are an entrepreneur, you have to answer them, you know, before tomorrow. Okay, let's answer a few more questions. Who does your solution serve? You know, and what way will the solution impact life? Now, many times people that are funding, giving fellowship, giving all these things, they literally want to know who your customers are. They want to know how you are impacting them because impact is at the heart of everything that is written here, right? So let's see how to answer that kind of question. Okay, give me a minute. Okay, let's answer this question now. I try to be a little bit, instead of just being straightforward in terms of, hey, we train people between the, so this model and this technology for learning technology skills are developed for post-secondary school leavers on the African continent. Demographically, they are people between the ages of 18 to 30 years and live in Africa. More than half of our effort and resources focus on people within the age brackets that lives, in area where poor access to internet. Most of these things are just, me writing. I literally would edit them when I'm about to submit, So how would you describe people that you serve? You can use a story. I think I've used a story in one of my applications in the past. Let me put it out. I think it was when I was applying for Unleash application. Yeah, I think this was my Unleash application. I used a story. I used a lot of stories in Unleash, actually. A lot of stories in Unleash. You can use stories. The last time I opened this application was 2020. Wow, September 2020. But I use Unleash, yeah. I use stories, yeah. I think there was a story that they hatched to me. Yeah. There was a story here. I can't see the question. Yeah. Okay, but there's a story I put here. I can't remember the question they asked, but see the way I write this. There is nothing as frustrating as graduating from the university to no jobs. I was jobless for the early part of my life after school. In fact, I was almost lured to cybercrime. I grew up from a community that is predominantly youth-driven, and cybercrime was the talk of the day. Most bright and brilliant young people graduated from school without any opportunity to face a future in the job market. I was there, and I know what it means. 2 years after school, while I was still job hunting, I was fortunate enough to meet a mentor who helped me chart a new course, and my story changed. I started a program that helped me learn some new skills in agile project management. Then I go a little bit. This is my testimony. In 2015, I was selected as an Atlas Core Fellow. I went a little bit, Now, while this is very a story approach, I still had to add some numbers to it, right? Because I want to start, because I don't know who is reading. So while the person might resonate with my story, the same person might say, okay, and so what? So I put it here. 98% of employers in sub-Saharan Africa do not believe that the universities are doing enough for the supply of skilled human capital. Also, during my sessions at Deloitte, a thematic study unveiled that Nigeria is losing talent, supposed to be talent here, to developing countries at a ratio higher by 5 to what is incubated at home. Now, this was just very story driven. Then I have another story here. Charles recalls how, okay, I can't remember. Oh, yeah. So when they asked me this kind of question, right? Who does your solution serve? And in what way will the solution impact life? I can go a story approach. I say something like Praise was my personal mentee who came into the UTIVA program in 2017 after studying vet medicine from the University of Nigeria. 6 years in school, and she could get a job. I can't remember what I was supposed to write here. While there were other vacancies around, Praise was not prepared for those roles. She joined our Talent Accelerator program and focused on product design and marketing. She learned some new skills on data analytics, machine learning, and stories really sell. If you want to go story approach, you can go story approach. Story approach is always a very better way, to make it easy. Sorry, give me a minute. I mean, it doesn't mean that. So, Lauren Toba, sorry, is that Lauren? Lauren Toba, yeah, it doesn't mean that people above 40 and 50 are not supposed to be part of that of our program. This application, every time I write an application, I focus so much on who is funding this opportunity and what are they asking? What are they looking for? MIT Solve was a program that I just wanted to sell the youth market. So I wasn't interested in other things outside the youth space. I just wanted to sell the youth market, and that was why I focused so much on that call. Who does your solution serve? So you can see how I write the application. Here it's currently this solution has helped. Now you can also focus on impact. How many people have you helped? How many people have you supported? How are you supporting people? How many people have benefited from that program? And then if you don't have lots of people that have benefited, then you can talk about potential opportunities. We have trained 5 women. 5 women have been able to access XYZ from us, leveraging the relationship and insight that we have gotten from that project. We are confident that we will be able to reach 500 women within 1 year. Or this 5 women that we have trained have volunteered to become trainers and coaches to, scale our learning programs to 5,000 people, or 500 people, depending on, what you're doing. Okay. And there are more questions here. Wish we had that time to really cover a lot of things. So another question that I think it's always very important is, tell us more about how you found that that's not important. Explain how the problem, your solution and your solution target population relate to the challenge. I don't think this is important, right? Because many times they just want to know, okay, do you understand what you are applying for? How does your application or your responses, how does it tally to what we are asking? Now, describe what makes your solution innovative. Now, this is where many people miss it, because most people just think that, innovation is about technology. And I usually say, no, don't think that way. Innovation is not, all these anonymous viewers, I can't even imagine that some people can literally copy the link, or you have a better way to hack my documents. So one thing I would mention, honestly, is innovation is not technology. So if they ask you, how is your project or your solution innovative, it's okay to mention how you are leveraging technology to drive scale. It's okay to talk about, we have built this technology products, that. But innovation is, how are you changing the status quo? Not necessarily how are you using the technology, how are you changing the status quo? And that's what I describe here. There are 2 elements that drive the innovativeness of our solution. First, the technology. Second, the learning model. So that the person that is reading this know that, yes, it's not just technology, it is, the approach. Now, I talked about the technology here. The hardware is encrypted, you can describe the technology, but when you're describing technology, please try as much as possible to be simple with the way you describe innovation. So for example, if I built an AI solution that gathers multiple data from different points and analyze those data to present powerful visuals, I don't even know how to describe. You can see I'm still describing it in a very simple form. Keep it simple. Keep your innovation simple. Remember that essence of innovation is not to be complex or complicated. The essence of innovation is to keep it very simple and make it easy for people to understand. So the learning model too, the Utiva learning approach is what drives the major innovativeness of the solution. This approach has helped users. So you can see, this is one of the things I do. I reinforce confidence. when I'm writing. I know that you as the person that is reviewing or reading the application might not believe that this is innovative. But I will come and I will say this approach has helped users to achieve 95% training completion rate as against, or against the usual standard of 18%. Then I now describe the innovation. So I'm playing the mind game with the user to help the user realize that, hey, I know that you might think that, okay, innovation is, all the gym gas goes, right? But I'm telling you that I consider this innovative because, from my experience using this product, 50,000 of our users are coming back to say that this is good for them. Or this is innovative because the government has institutionalized our approach as a faster way to cleaning the environment. I consider this. So you need to reinforce confidence. So let's say that you are applying for a master's program and then they say, why should we select you? Why should we select you? While you go on to say all the things you have done, chip in confidence. Confidence is 3 of the employers I've worked with in the past have endorsed me as an emerging talent, and they have demonstrated that by giving me the Best Employee of the Year award. I've won the Best Employee Award, of the year. Just reinforce confidence. How do you reinforce confidence? What are users saying about your product? What is it doing to them? Is it helping them? If it's helping them, then you're reinforcing confidence. Another way to reinforce confidence is to say, what are other people saying about you, about your approach, about your work? Today, within 1 month, 500 people volunteered, to work with us, which helps demonstrate the quality of, or which helps demonstrate the impact of the work that we do in our rural community. Or within 2 years of our work, top leading organizations like Facebook these days have provided us with access to more resources. Even if they're not giving you funding, they're giving you access to resources, which helps demonstrate the impact and the structure around the work that we have built. So reinforce confidence. Find a way to reinforce confidence, because when someone is reading your application, the person might lose touch with the reality, or person trying to figure out, is this really something solid? But here, if you're doubting if this is solid, I'm telling you that our approach is innovative because we have now achieved a 95% training completion rate as against the 18%, standard in the industry. Then I describe it in a very simple way. First, upon registration, we connect you to a new friend and a coach. You see, you need to learn to write simple, because it's easy to absorb and understand. This was one of the mistakes I made very early in my writing life, because I just want to go very complex and tough. Before, I would have written this as, upon registration, our system, create a peer-to-peer connection. You see, that's what I would have written before. Or upon registration, our system creates a peer-to-peer connection. I wouldn't do that again these days. I would say, first, upon registration, we connect you to a new friend and a coach. Just keeping it simple, and then give you a support community that interacts with you on social media platform. Finally, the learning approach is project-based, and there's a virtual internship built into the learning model that helps you reinforce the learning. Maybe today, it was 2021, that's 2020. If I'm going to write this again, I would say something like, first, upon registration, our platform welcomes each user by connecting them to other learners connecting them with other learners. Hence, we are creating, learning by mutual, learning by creating an atmosphere for people to connect to new friends, and building a family of learners. I can adjust this later. Then I would say, finally, our students learn together, and work on different projects while engaging with the community. All these is driven by our technology platform. I will just, I don't know, I can write this just to make it simpler than that. I just, my Grammarly is at work. So I just will keep it very simple, keep it very simple. That's one of the things I do. Now, describe the core technology that powers your solution. That's, you can't even escape that. You need to talk technology at this point. I think this is one of the questions that you might also face. Yeah, this is where I wanted to round up before, but I will start from here tomorrow. What is your theory of change? I think that if you know the theory of change thing very well, you will be a very good, solid application writer. I see that it's evening already, people already, trying to like rest and relax. So I will share the video with you, but let's talk about theory of change tomorrow. I'll spend time tomorrow to talk about theory of change. Now, most questions might not come to you with theory of change questions, but usually the essence of every application that you write, scholarship, masters, everything is theory of change. It's like, what will change if we give you this opportunity? What will change? Will anything get better? Will anything improve? Will the system be challenged? You need to have that mindset that it's about the theory of change. So if I fund your scholarship, what will happen? What will change? Not just what will happen to you, what will happen to the community? Oh, when I complete my master's program, the first 2 years I will be volunteering with the university that I graduated from and train other recent graduates on these, or I'm building a research center in my community to help, what will change? What will change if you get selected? And this theory of change you need to understand it, because I'm talking about change at a much more systemic level. You need to understand how that change cascade and gets to the systemic level, to the systems level. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. That's one of the things that I have mastered when I'm writing my application. Talk about, if you give me this $50,000 and I train 50 young people, they would learn, they get jobs. Okay. But I paint a picture in your mind in terms of systemic change. How many organizations will hire them? What would happen to those organizations? What other policy can we write? How do we engage the government so that the government can institutionalize that system, that structure? These are all the things I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Thank you so much. I know it's evening already. Thank you for coming around this night. We'll catch up tomorrow again. Have a beautiful evening, everybody. Okay, Adebayo, I get you. Yeah, Adebayo wants me to share the database of the scholarship with everybody. I will do that. I'll do that. Thank you, guys. Have a beautiful evening. Thank you so much, guys.